All right, let's do it.
What's up, October Sky?
October sky.
Coming through here, dude?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, here we go. One, two, three, click. One, two, three, clap.
Clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap.
Ugh, I didn't write a cold open, or I didn't prepare anything for the cold open at all.
Did they settle it?
No,
Okay.
but usually I have an idea of what I want to talk about, and I don't.
Hmm.
Ugh, shoot.
Uh,
Sorry.
that's okay. Um,
I've been traveling, so I forgot about this.
I can do something.
Okay, great. Let me open it up, and then if you have something to talk about for 30 seconds, let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. Hey everybody, Steven here, and the strike is still on. Well, I
Wow.
don't know if it's still on when in October when this comes out, but we're recording this in September. The
Right.
strike is still on. SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild are still on strike, just trying to get their due. And so you know what that means. They're on strike. I'm on strike. No cold open. Now this is an Anthony's choice today, this
It
movie.
is. Yep.
Do you have anything you want to say right off the bat in place of this cold open?
Hmm. One of the things I'm going to talk about is there's a tradition for me and my mom to go to
Uh-huh.
movies.
Okay.
And I think this might be the first one that
Oh, I
we did
love
like
this.
this. I think. I mean, we're going to talk about that. And I'm wondering if anybody that's listening to this is a 90s movie,
Yeah.
late 90s. If
Mm-hmm.
anybody that's listening to this ever went to movies, uh, either with your parents, just kind of like as a tradition like this,
Yep.
or a completely different thing, which is did you ever go to the movies to the dollar theater,
Oh,
the cheap
sure.
theater?
Yep, it was Market Square in Madison.
Yep. And I'm almost positive that's when we went to this. Was me and her at the cheap theater.
Wow. I mean, there's so much gold for what could have been a cold open there. Cheap theater stuff,
Mm-hmm.
go, going to it with your mom stuff.
Yep.
If only I could have written a cold open about that, but I can't.
Ah,
So people should go to wgacontract2023.org to learn more about how we can help these writers and actors get what they want and what they deserve, which is to get paid correctly. And we can go back to writing cold open. But let me say that again. And we can go back to writing cold opens. In the
mm-hmm.
meantime, we're the two Gomers. We're talking October Sky. And this is Perfect Movie.
Welcome, everybody, to Perfect Movie, a podcast where two regular guys try to save the universe one great film at a time. This is Anthony speaking, one of those two aforementioned Gomers coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, with my friend Steven, all the way out in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Anthony's choice.
So we go back and forth with our choices,
Yep.
and choices often, at least for me, are canon,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the movies that I just want to talk about
Yeah.
and haven't gotten to talk about. And when we were talking last year about the schedule for this year, we did Red October in
That's
October of
right.
last year.
That's right. It
This
was a
year,
because it had the word October in it. I mean,
yep,
Hunt for Red October does not take place in October.
nope.
I don't even understand why the submarine is called that.
I don't know either.
Might have been something that we could have looked up at the time, but that's in the past.
Yep.
Now we're doing October Sky, another movie with the word October in it.
Yes.
Are there any others? This might be it, folks.
I think this is it. So next year we're gonna have to probably pick a Halloween
Because
movie
I have some
or
like
a scary movie.
non-scary scary movies that I are
Okay.
on my perfect movie list that I think would be
Well,
fun. I mean, you've
maybe
seen
we
The
could do
Shining, right?
Nightmare.
That
Nightmare
is a
Before
scary
Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas we could do. Have you seen The
Shining.
Shining? That's kind of
Of
like
course. Yeah.
creepy. That's scary. That movie is scary.
That movie's scary. Yeah.
Very scary. Um, so I have ideas because I think we're at the end of our rope when it comes to movies with the word October in the
Oh
title.
man. Well, here's a fun fact, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So October Sky. So this is based on a book written by
Okay.
Homer J.
Uh-huh.
Hookham. Sorry, based on a book written by Homer H. Hickam Jr., who's the star of the book and the movie,
Uh-huh.
and it's called Rocket Boys.
Okay, gotcha.
And
Rocket Boys.
yep, what Rocket Boys is actually I forgot what the term is, anagram,
Uh-huh. I
where
don't know.
October Sky has the same letters as Rocket Boys.
Wow. Well, that's enough for me. Great app.
And
I
according
had no,
to
that's so weird.
yeah, according to somebody I heard talking about this,
Uh-huh.
uh, what they did is they literally put Rocket Boys into Windows 95,
Yeah.
you know, and then did that. Is it called an anagram?
No, it's not an anagram, is it?
What's
Maybe it
that?
is. I thought anagram was no, it is an anagram. Let me just double check. I think you're right. Anagram.
We need a
I'm
fact
looking it up.
checker.
A word or phrase made by transposing the letters of another word or phrase. It is an
Yes.
anagram. Yep.
Okay, good.
The word
Uh,
secure is an anagram of rescue. They have, for example, they don't have Rocket Boys and October Sky as an example for some reason. I can I just tell you my least favorite anagram
yeah.
is um isn't it Tom Riddle
Uh,
and you Tom Riddle somehow if you rearrange those no Tom's in his middle name the something and then if you rearrange the letters and this is supposed to be some big revelation spells I am Lord Voldemort. I think that is so
oh.
stupid.
Not your favorite.
Not my favorite reveal in the Harry Potter universe. I am Lord Voldemort. Wow, it just happens to spell
Like
my real name.
what a coincidence. Yeah,
I
so if you would have put
know.
that into the Windows 95 anagram finder,
Uh,
Tom Riddle or whatever it is, Tom
Tom
uh
something little riddle, yeah.
okay.
All right. Well, we
Then
there's our Harry Potter chat for October.
okay. Oh yeah, good. But October Sky was that. I
Okay.
think two of my favorites are Too Many Secrets
Mm-hmm. I
with
freaking love Too Many Secrets, which
Sea
is
Tech Astronomy.
E-Tech Astronomy. That's friggin' good.
That is so good. They must have started with Too Many Secrets, right?
Of course. Yep. Just the same way that J.K. Rowling made up Tom Riddle's middle name so it could spell I am Lord Voldemort. C-Tech was just like, what letters do we have left? Oh, great, perfect.
Yeah.
Too
Okay,
many
Sea Tech.
secrets.
That sounds like a technology company.
Love it.
And it works. It works in the movie. And then
Yep.
I love the anagram search scene in National Treasure,
Oh boy. They use the L
right?
twice.
Fargo Levy, Valley Forge, a glove fry, Valley Gulf, right?
They use what does he say? They use the
He
L
pressed
and
the
the
E
E
on the L
twice.
twice, Valley Forge.
They push the E and the L twice.
It's like,
That's pretty good. Good job,
it,
Nick
I
Cage.
see. This could have been a cold open too, dude. You could have
Yes,
done
of
anagram
course.
chat.
Oh my gosh, all this stuff for Tom Marvolo Riddle. I just looked that up. Marvolo, not a word,
Hmm.
not a name. She just made
Hmm.
that up.
That's made up.
That's made up.
Riddle though,
Riddle is
cool.
good. Riddle's great.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Riddle, that's a great J.K. Rowling name,
Mm-hmm.
but it feels a little forced. I
Mm.
am Lord Voldemort. Give me a break. Um,
Hmm.
okay, October Sky. I was wondering, is this because it takes place in October that it's called this, but the anagram makes a little bit more sense of it.
Yes, although the radio broadcast, like we always love it when they say the name of the movie in
Yep.
the movie itself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so the
Oh, I must
very
have missed
cold
this.
open, Sputnik is flying over, and they're
Yep.
listening to the radio, and it's beeping, and he
Yeah.
goes, "It flies over the October sky." So that was when Sputnik flew over
And then
The
the radio
world.
announcer says those
He does.
words.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I love that. You know how I
Hmm.
love that. Like, let's all go out and have a Star War. Remember,
Indiana Jones.
remember that part when they say that?
I do. I do.
I looked up other October movies just so you know.
Okay.
The October Man, 1947. Never seen it. First Monday in October, 1981. Never seen it.
Okay.
Mr. October, I think, stars Billy Crystal. Let me look that up.
Oh, is that a baseball movie? Or
Mr.
Mr. Saturday
October.
Night?
Oh,
Isn't he
you're right.
also
I'm confusing. I'm confusing Mr. Saturday Night with Mr. October.
what?
Mr. October is a baseball movie. Oh no, Mr. October is a horror movie.
Yeah, that sounds
Um,
too scary.
too scary. It's got a big pumpkin on the cover at least. I don't know if it's a horror movie. Maybe it's a rom-com. Who can tell? Not a very
Mm.
popular movie. I don't think that's going to make the cut for next year's perfect movie episode.
Two people meet and fall in love over a pumpkin spice latte. They both like they mess up their orders like on Sleepless in Seattle,
Yep, yep.
but it's like different milks, you know?
Yeah, I mean this is pretty good. I should get started on this.
Who
Be a
else
big hit.
orders a lettuce and tomato without something else like tuna?
So what would that be today? Who else orders vanilla and oat milk?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a very 2023 thing that could happen.
Sure, like a steamer without
Right.
coffee. So
Yeah.
just steamed milk.
Yes, just steamed milk with some, or just steamed oat milk with some
Uh-huh.
vanilla flavoring
Uh-huh.
with no
That's it.
coffee in it. We
Yeah,
did it.
that's it.
And that's how
Or
they
a
meet and
pumpkin
fall in love.
spice steamer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
I
that's
do.
Mr. October.
We figured it out. Okay, I'll get started. Um, okay. Uh, October Sky. I had only seen this movie once in my life, long and long and long ago.
Yep.
Must have been when I was in college, I think. I didn't see it in the theater, but you're saying you maybe saw it with your mom in the theater.
I know I did.
Okay,
I
that's
know I
awesome.
did.
Yeah.
So it's a great memory for me.
Mm-hmm.
So this came out February 19th, 1999.
Let's
So
just go to the one sheet now that you said
okay,
that.
great.
February
Came out
19th.
February 19th, 1999. So it would have been the 7, 8, 9. So it would have been the second semester of my sophomore year of undergrad.
Okay, so this was not. I did not see this in high school. I must have
Right.
seen it in college on VHS.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe even at North Orchard. Do you
Possible.
think did you own this VHS?
Possible.
Yeah, it is
Very
possible. It is very possible.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
we're getting into the DVD era, right?
Yeah, we are.
Because we had a bunch of VHSs in college. You're right. That whole wall.
Blockbuster did not go DVD until 2000.
Okay. All right. Well, this would have come out in in fall to 99. So
Right.
it would have been VHS definitely,
Mm-hmm.
but also, yeah. So that puts us in a really cool moment in time that is super memorable. I feel
Yep.
like I can remember detail.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes.
my mom, like I think one thing we used to do is she would pick me up at my dorm.
Uh-huh.
And because I was living at Chadbourne this year, supposed to room with Krause. At this point, I think I was rooming with, I roomed with a guy named Tyler and then a guy named Aaron.
Okay.
I think this was the Aaron semester, I think.
All right.
And so she would come pick me up. We go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Go to partner to Applebee's.
Right.
And we'd
Yum.
get and so this is a dated term, but we'd get the Oriental chicken salad.
I think places still call it that. Oriental
They still
chicken
have, okay.
salad. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. No, probably not. Asian chicken salad.
There we go. It was
I'm sure even Applebee's probably has moved to that at least.
Well, my mom and I would both get that. We would always get that.
Yeah.
Crispy, not grilled, crispy, right?
Crispy chicken you're talking about on it. Yeah, and they probably had those like crispy noodles on it too, right?
Oh
Those.
yeah. Crispy
Yep.
noodles,
Mm-hmm.
mandarin orange slices, chicken
Yep.
tenders cut up into little slices, and then like some sort of dressing, sweet.
Right.
Uh
Yeah. Oh, true, authentic food from the East.
exactly. East meets West with the
Yeah.
fried
Mostly
chicken
West,
tenders.
a tiny bit of East.
Mostly West.
As always, the West overtakes whatever East was there with the
Totally, you
crispy chicken.
serve it with a nice cold beer.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. Have a blondie
and
brownie for dessert.
totally. Actually, there wouldn't have been beer because I would have not been of age.
Oh, that's right.
Plus, I wasn't into that anyways at that point, at least. But yeah, so we get that,
Mm.
and yummy. I would actually eat that right now. It was so fresh tasting. You
I,
felt like you were healthy.
I love an Asian salad for sure.
Yeah,
East,
it's
East
so
meets
good.
West.
Yep. Yeah, that fusion cuisine.
And then you would go to a movie after?
Yeah. So we'd go, like, our main stops would be like there or Made Right. I feel like I went there more with my dad though, but and then Cops, get groceries.
It's a grocery store. Yep.
Yep. And then she dropped me off. And then we'd like go to a movie or something like that.
Okay.
So I remember. So I mean, this could have also been the summer. I don't know when we saw this. I just remember seeing it at the Dollar Theater.
Right.
Right. And that was, I think we were able to call and find out movie times.
Right. What was that movie
Remember?
phone?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get you, sucker.
I'm gonna keep
Playing at two shows playing at 7 and 9. I'm going to get you, sucker. That's what I remember about movie phone.
I know. Great
The
Seinfeld
whitest
episode
guy
also.
trying to say the titles of those movies.
Totally. So we probably found that
Uh-huh.
at the theater. Oh, you know where else we used to go was Laredo's.
Is that a restaurant? I don't know that one.
Oh, it was a great restaurant with, like, you get the chicken quesadilla, their guac ruled, bring home some chips and salsa for the whole crew.
Right. Yeah. Everybody's like, Anthony gets to go out to a restaurant. He's going to bring us home some food.
It would be like a grocery bag full of chips.
Yes.
And then the wonton soup container full of salsa,
Oh, yeah.
So good. What have you brought for us?
Now, the Dollar Theater, sorry to keep getting back to the movies, but the Dollar Theater, I know I want to talk about chips more. The Dollar Theater, was it $1 then? Like, was it actually $1? Because I think probably when we were in college, it might have been $2, but we still called it the Dollar Theater.
Sure. Yeah, I remember it being somewhere between $1, $1.50, and $2.
Yep.
And some of the reels would be burnt.
Oh yeah, the projectors themselves were pretty washed out. Like the screen was kind of brown.
Yeah, kind of brown, probably had a tear in it.
Right, there's a tear kind of on the right side. The seats are not stadium seating, they're just like all on a flat ground.
Yeah.
not even like any incline.
Right. It's so cheap.
Yeah.
And this is the last run before they get rid of these reels.
Yep. Yeah. Late showing, like late run movies.
Yep.
So after they're out of Point Cinema and stuff like that, then they go to Market Square.
Right. So this is just a lost thing, right?
We don't have any. We don't have a cheap theater. Huh. I wonder if they still do in Madison. I think Market Square's closed.
Yeah. I mean, that was a way to see anything and everything.
Yep. Exactly.
Like, oh, I missed October Sky, which actually seems like a movie I would have been at opening day. But like, what are we going to go through with my mom? So we went to this. Yeah. And I remember driving Odana Road afterwards, just like thinking about life.
Wow. Okay.
Just like I was like, I loved that movie. It's everything I wanted in a movie.
For sure. Someday it'll be an Anthony's Choice on my movie podcast.
Someday we'll have a thing called a podcast. We'll talk about it. I didn't know Day After Tomorrow was coming. Another great Jake Gyllenhaal classic. Rewatchable.
Yeah. I mean, the iPod had not yet been invented, but you knew someday I'll have a podcast.
Someday. Okay, so
2000.
that
There,
was
there was no.
February 19th,
Oh,
1999.
right.
Sorry,
Yep.
were you going to say something else then?
No, no, don't worry about it. Let's keep going.
Okay, cool. I'll edit there.
Okay.
99. Movie comes in at an hour and 48, which I think is fantastic.
Great length.
Yep. Budget 25 million. Now this is not good. Gross at the box office 32 million.
Yeah.
That's,
Not a huge, not a huge hit, but they made money.
They made money. They recovered their money. I mean, it's just basically, it's not a biopic, but
Yeah, it
it's
is,
just
isn't
a
it?
simple. Is this
It's a
what that
bio.
is?
I think it's a biopic based on a true story. The guy that wrote the
Okay.
book, an autobiopic almost, right? He wrote the book
Okay.
that it's based on. Um,
Okay.
I was gonna say, like, if you make 232 million on a movie that you spent 225 million on, that's not good. But this
Yeah. Okay.
actually, the percentage of what they spent, they made $7 million.
Okay.
They didn't spend very much. So I think
Yeah.
it's fine for a movie like this, right?
Okay. Good. Yeah. I guess I don't have much perspective, even though we've been doing this like at least 100 times. These numbers I never really get it, but they're fun to say.
Yes.
And 30 or at least $3 of that 32 million is from me and my mom.
Right. Somewhere between $2 and $4 were what they made from you.
Good thing we put it over the top too.
Yeah, yeah.
Weren't the concessions also really cheap
I
at the
think the
dollar?
concessions were cheaper, but my guess was that was where they made most of their money. I think
Sure.
that's how it is for most movie theaters. They make most of their money on concessions, but certainly at a cheap
Right.
theater.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, as far as awards and achievements, this
Uh-huh.
did win the Critics' Choice Award for Best Family Film.
Okay.
So, sweet. Good job, it. Rotten Tomatoes came at 91% critic, 88% audience. So, that's
Yeah.
super good.
Yep.
Now, dude, I had a hard time writing other movies released around the same time because I went to Box Office Mojo, as I always do,
Yep.
and at least 40 of the movies I knew.
And several we've done on the podcast.
Yeah, so
Sixth Sense,
I mean, this is the
Matrix.
summer of Star Wars Episode 1, Sixth
Yeah.
Sense, Austin Powers, Toy Story 2, Matrix, Big Daddy. I mean, all that Adam Sandler run was huge for us.
Yep, for sure.
Wild Wild West, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
I remember the big Oscar kind of contenders were American Beauty, which we weren't supposed to watch.
Was Stepmom
And
in there?
well, and
Oscar, or is
Thomas
it just kind of
Crown,
like
Thomas Crown, we
Thomas
were
Crown
also
affair?
supposed
Yeah.
not supposed to watch.
Not
We
supposed
used
to
to
watch
call
that,
those,
yeah. Yeah.
and we used to
Even
call
though
it Thomas Crown porn.
and Kraus snuck out of Seitel one day. Didn't remember this? Didn't
No.
punch out. Went and saw Thomas Crown Affair and just came back.
I kind of remember that. Krause.
That was that summer. Yeah. So
Yep,
it was
we
99 was also when the summer when we worked at Seitel, because I also remember bidding on a Jar Jar picture on eBay
yeah.
during work.
Yep. And I got those
And
cheese pixies.
and you got those cheese pixies, and we both won the bids, and we were very happy about that. I think it was during training.
What are you doing on your computer? Go to
Uh,
start find files or folders. Yeah, so this was yeah, I mean, like, I'm just thinking about it's just we were in that sort of legalistic mode. So it's like American Beauty,
Mhm.
Thomas Crown, Eyes Wide Shut, American
Mhm.
Pie, all these movies that you're like, don't go to those. Like, no
Yep.
matter what you do, don't
If
turn
you
to channel
go to the
53.
Matrix
Yeah.
and the trailer for American Pie plays, close your eyes. Now, this is me who was just complaining about Oppenheimer, but still, I've relaxed. Just so you know, nation, I have relaxed since then. For some reason, Oppenheimer hit me wrong,
Right.
but
Right.
that's okay. I just mentioned I want to see The Shining and do The Shining, and people will be like, "Well, if you can do The Shining, why'd you hate Oppenheimer?" I don't know.
Right.
Listen, I don't know.
Just you're speaking your truth.
That's right.
Also,
Yeah, that's a
you were
great
right.
list of movies.
I mean, you were right. Stepmom, which I love,
Mhm.
great John
Right.
Williams score. Someday maybe we'll talk about that one. And
Yeah,
You've Got
yeah.
Mail is another just like top
Cutting edge
movie.
CGI.
So yeah, I mean, New York's never looked better than in that that dot matrix, like zoom in.
How it's meant to be experienced.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
that said, I love that opening to
I
You've
know.
Got
Me
Mail
too. Me too.
when
It's
you see that
perfectly
CGI
dated.
New York City.
I mean, that was the best they could do, right?
And it was stunning.
Right.
I was
We're
like,
like,
wow.
man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
This movie was directed by Joe Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, he's. I mean, as far as our childhood goes, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Rocketeer
Mm.
are up there for top favorite movies
I,
of childhood.
I called out Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I think a couple episodes ago about
Yeah.
when we were doing, oh, it was during the Indiana Jones
Oh
ranking
yeah. Yep.
where that's in like one of my most canon
Yeah.
like movie going memories is Honey, I
Yeah.
Shrunk the Kids. I was blown away. I came out of the movie thinking they'll never do it better.
How could they do it better?
How could
Rick
anything
Moranis
top this? Rick
firing on all
Moranis.
cylinders. The I can't remember the boys and the girls' names, but they were amazing.
Right.
The kid from Big.
The giant ant, the giant
Yep.
bee.
Ed. Uh. Who's the guy? Shoot. Max Headroom
Max Headroom.
himself.
Yep, it's so good. But yeah, I mean, the Honey I Shrunk the Kids, Jumanji,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which I mean, we could talk about the CGI in that, but that movie's pretty good. I like Jumanji.
Too scary for me when I was a
Too
kid. I
scary.
was like,
Too
I don't
scary.
want that.
Too scary for my kids too when they were young. They cried at the
I
end.
don't, I don't know why that movie just didn't interest me.
Okay. Have you seen
Not sure why.
Zathura, which is kind of its sequel?
I also haven't
Okay, that movie
seen
is
that.
actually really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really fun. It has Dax Shepard in it and Kristen
Oh,
Stewart and
nice.
what's his face from Hunger Games, Peter Malark is in that movie.
Okay.
And it's kind of like Jumanji, but it's a space game.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I remember it being like a cross promotional on The Apprentice.
That makes a lot of sense to me for some reason.
They had to like make a commercial or use it in a product,
Okay, yeah,
and
that's
some of the
so funny.
contestants
That's how
like
you
couldn't
remember
pronounce
it.
Zathura. They're
Yeah.
like Zenthura.
Yeah, it's a weird name, but actually I prefer it to Jumanji. But Jumanji I think is pretty good. Then you like you mentioned you called out Rocketeer, which is just that movie rules.
Oh, I mean, that'll be on here at some point. Also, he
Yep.
did Jurassic Park 3.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And you know the well, how come
right?
you couldn't hear that dinosaur approaching, but you can hear the Nokia phone in its stomach? I mean, Jurassic Park 1, the whole earth shakes when the
Yeah.
T-Rex approaches. This one, you turn around and you hear the dinosaur standing 10 feet behind you because the Nokia phone is going off in its stomach.
But dude, how memorable is that crap?
I love it. Um, Jurassic Park 3, I've really come around to. I like that movie.
Yeah. I mean, William H. Macy,
He's great in a Leone.
Tay Leone,
Yep.
totally. I mean, an hour and 20 minutes of fun that movie is.
Wow. It's a packed 70 minutes without credits of fun.
Totally. Like, what did they do? They just were like, okay, this is horrid. Let's just slice and dice anything good, slap it together.
Now you know my biggest heart connection to Joe Johnston is that
Oh,
he
yep.
designed the Iron Giant.
Oh,
Remember that? Like
got it.
he was the artistic director on Iron Giant and specifically designed my best friend and how he looks.
Yes. Okay.
Which
Yep.
there's a lot of the Iron Giant is happening at the same time as October Sky. It could be the same month of the year
Right.
of
Right.
1957 or whatever.
Yep. It's the 50s.
Yep, Sputnik.
It's pre Apollo,
Right.
but it's post World War II.
Yeah.
So it's the era where I think Kennedy makes that speech, maybe a
Mhm.
little bit later, like we're going to go to the moon.
Yeah.
Right. So there's all this fear but
Mm-hmm.
you're also post World War II. I don't know. It's a really interesting time. Um,
Yep.
and and so he must really dig this time period.
I guess
And
so.
also
Rocketeer
Brad Bird
and
too, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
Brad Bird and Joe Johnston directed one of my favorite Marvel movies, Captain America, the first
Uh-huh.
Captain
Yeah.
America, which is
Yep.
also World War II era, right? So this is
Mm-hmm.
a little bit past World War II era. This is space beginning a space race. But I think he probably got the Captain America gig off of directing Rocketeer.
Yes. Okay, yeah, sure.
And then
Probably not
October
from this.
Skies. No, October Skies kind of in the middle there. I'm guessing it wasn't like, hey, have you guys seen Laura Dern in October Sky? Give this
Right.
guy Captain America.
Yeah. That sort of sleepy drama from West Virginia. Yeah, definitely give him a Marvel
Yep. Lots of
superhero
people
movie.
take naps during watching that movie. You should direct the biggest superhero movie ever made so far.
Yeah,
And he does a great job. He had a huge part in creating the universe of what became the MCU for those first couple of phases. They owe him a
yeah,
lot, actually.
yeah, totally. So it's again one of those reasons when we started this podcast
Mm-hmm.
that I knew we were going to start finding these connecting these dots, finding these through lines of things that we like.
Right. Yep.
And so, I mean, even like the score, which we're going to absolutely talk about, I remember loving the score and the just the feels from River Runs Through It. And so basically this score
Oh.
is Mark Isham, who
And
is
that
not
name
as
I
well
did
known
not
as,
I did not recognize that name. Like I thought it was going to be Horner. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It sounds
it's,
like it's got Shawshank
yeah, it
vibes.
absolutely has Shawshank. That's Thomas Newman, I think.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Uh, More melodic, I feel like, than James Horner. Like he's got
Okay.
leitmotifs in this movie, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, he does.
Um, yeah, Horner. Yeah, I mean, he's not as well known,
Mm-mm.
but like he perfectly captures. Well, we'll talk about that. But
Yeah.
it's just
Okay.
like I remember the score from River Runs Through It from when I was a kid, and then
Interesting.
this comes in around, and I just listened to them both today,
Huh.
and they might as they you could just take one and put it in the other.
Yeah. And now I've
So,
never seen River Runs Through It. What does the river run through? What's it? The
well,
river
it's
runs
about
through what?
it's kind of like a father son brothers
Okay,
movie.
yeah.
You've
Brad
not
Pitt?
seen this?
I've never
Yeah,
seen it.
it's super young and skinny Brad Pitt.
Long hair, right?
You'll love it.
I mean, if he looks anything like he did in Thelma and Louise, I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, I think it's that era. I
For
think it's
sure. It
that era.
must be. Yeah.
So it is he's really good. The older brother, I can't remember his name, and
Okay.
then Robert Redford plays a Presbyterian minister.
Okay, interesting.
Uh and it's like got fly fishing. It's like it's a male tear-jerking movie.
And
Do you know what I mean?
I'm assuming it has a similar color palette to an October Sky, right? Sort of like,
Yeah. This might have happened in the same world. Actually, I think that was like the 20s or
okay,
30s.
all right.
Uh,
Maybe
but
Chris
and
Cooper in this movie is Brad Pitt all grown up.
yeah, that was his origin story.
It's the same score, apparently.
But I went with my dad to that on
Okay,
State Street.
interesting.
I remember
Yeah,
at the what's the big theater there? Majestic?
on
Orpheum.
State Street, the Orpheum, right?
Orpheum.
Yeah, that sounds like an Orpheum movie for sure.
Yeah.
River runs through it.
Yeah.
Wow,
The Majestic. Mark Isham also did the score for that, which is great.
that's with Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he
I've
did
seen that, but haven't
42.
for a while.
Okay, he also did 42 and Miracle. Like he's very prolific, and we haven't heard of him very much.
Well, I've got news for you. I saw 42 at Market Square, the
Wow.
Dollar Theater, with my
There we
dad.
go.
Yep.
Amazing.
Harrison Ford's in that, right?
42?
Yeah,
Is he?
I think so.
Oh.
He's the
Because
grumpy
that's
white savior in that movie.
okay.
If I
So
can,
it's Chadwick Boseman, right?
yes, and I think Han Solo plays kind of the
Oh,
owner, a manager
okay.
or an owner or something that has a heart of gold, the grumpy guy with a heart of gold or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna read the back of the box on this because just a little teaser. The way I watched this movie was I took notes on things that I thought Anthony loves about it.
Nice.
And I cannot wait to share those with you and see if
Sweet.
I'm right.
Great.
Because that's how you set it up for me on the Peewee app, right? Like
Right.
you will be able to tell why this would be an Anthony's choice. And so I worked
Yeah.
hard to do that.
Great.
But let me read the back of October Sky, the VHS, which I'm assuming you owned at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And on the front it has Jake Gyllenhaal and Laura Dern looking
Yep.
up into the sky. You know that
Oh,
shot.
I know it. I had the
I
CD.
don't know that that shot is actually in the movie. It kind of looks like they're photoshopped close to one another,
Yeah.
but they're looking up into the sky at a rocket that's just been launched, and they're both very happy about it.
Yep.
This is the back of the box says, "Thumbs up, Roger Ebert." Now, my assumption is that that means it wasn't two thumbs up.
Yeah. So that should say thumb up, right?
Well, unless it was Roger Ebert using both
Okay.
thumbs.
So he gives his two thumbs up, but that's not the gag or their shtick.
I mean, I've
It
never thought about this before, but I do think that when they are during the show, they say that's a thumbs up for me. I'm giving it
Okay. All
thumbs
right.
up.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yep,
So
I
I don't
totally get
think
it.
they ever would say thumb up,
No,
but
because that sounds actually pretty pervy, dude.
I would like to see that on the back of a box.
Thumb up.
Thumb up, Roger Ebert. Thumb up where? All right. It says this. In Coalwood, West Virginia, 1957, coal mining is king and no one can escape life underground. But when
Ooh.
high schooler Homer Hickam Jr., Jake Gyllenhaal, sees the Soviet satellite Sputnik streak overhead, he aims for the stars and a new destiny in this incredible true story of hope, determination, and triumph. With the help of his
Nice.
teacher, Laura Dern, and
Oh,
three
so
buddies,
awesome.
Homer
Yep.
sets out to build his own rocket, despite his father, Chris Cooper's
Boo.
disapproval.
Just kidding.
Boo! The evil father. I mean, you can just tell with
Yeah.
Chris Cooper in this role.
Yep.
A
Yep.
limited education and a series of misfires that threaten to flatten his dreams in the town, Homer overcomes seemingly impossible odds to fulfill his vision in one of the most timeless, inspiring stories ever brought to the screen. October Sky is, quote, a great movie going experience. It is hard to imagine anyone who won't laugh with it, cry with it, and go away absolutely loving it.
Mm.
Robert Butler, Knight Ridder News Service. They had to dig deep. Enjoy this universally acclaimed achievement filled with humor, superb performances, and classic rock and roll.
Lots of nice needle drops.
Right. Rated PG. A
Perfect.
real kind of, like you said, sleepy PG, right?
Totally.
Like chill. This movie is just quiet
Oh yeah.
PG.
I love it.
Like you said, it's under 2 hours, hour 48. In color, Good News Nation, in color, I would say there's a definite palette in this movie.
Yeah, it's blues, grays, blacks.
Yep.
It's
Yes.
always cloudy. It's always Oh man, I'm giving away my evidence. Dang it.
All right, then let's head right over into the trial.
All right.
Let's
All
do
right,
it.
let's do it. All right, let's clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap.
What happened?
Nothing.
All right. All rise.
Hey, how's it going over there? I just want to be in space. I just want to be up there in the stars. Oh gosh. Cheers, mate.
He sure did. This is the trial. We're talking about October Sky, and this is how it works. Every episode, we pick a movie we love. Sometimes both of us, but sometimes it's fun for one of us to bring the other a choice of our own. This is Anthony's choice. We're going to talk about and use evidence to prove that this movie is not only good and loved by us, but also perfect. And then we put it to a vote. Anthony gets a vote. I get a vote. The nation gets a vote. If you all who are listening vote 75% yes or more, that's one yes. If Anthony votes yes and I vote yes also, that's 3 out of 3, and it's perfect. We put it into the holodeck. We give Khan a chair in front of one of those wheelie VHS VCR combos with the TV on it, and a cup of Earl Grey. He watches these perfect movies, and he's converted into a fine young gentleman. So that that's how we save the universe. Now, I told you that I don't necessarily have any evidences,
Yep.
but I made some guesses
Nice.
on why you love this movie. Why, after you went to see it with your mom on Market Square, it stuck with you
Yep.
for 30 plus years at this point. 30 years.
Dang. Oh wait, no, 1999, 2023. So 24 years.
24 years. Is that right? Yeah, 24
Right?
years.
It's
Yep.
23,
Almost a quarter
99.
century.
Wow, this
This has
movie's
stuck
been
with
with me
you.
for a quarter century. I have to tell you, I haven't watched it, like sat down and watched it in years. I mean,
Okay,
maybe a
interesting.
decade, maybe more.
Wow. So this
This
isn't a Hunt for Red October where you'll watch it regularly.
well, this was a fall asleep to.
Ah,
This was a fall asleep to. It starts with a violin
uh-huh.
and the radio voice, the
Yep.
sounds of like radio, like switching channels,
Mm-hmm.
and then to a needle drop, and that's when I just fall asleep.
I mean, it's 2 minutes of
Yep,
viewing and you're
yep.
out.
This was pre Deep Impact, pre Santa Claus, pre
Free
The
the night they
Firm,
saved.
Night They Saved.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's not necessarily pre those chronologically, but it's you. This was you were falling asleep to this movie before you were falling asleep to any of those.
yeah. Like I had the movie audio in my iTunes so I could
Yeah.
listen to it,
Okay, I see. Yeah,
and then
that's pretty
just
smart.
like lean over and just close that laptop. Like right when you hit the point, like in The Firm, it's like right when the gun goes off
Yeah.
at the
At the
private investigators.
right. Yep.
That's usually where I wake up and I'm like, oh, turn this off.
That gunshot wakes you up. Now, folks should know that when I was there with you in Bend,
Yep.
there was a brief attempt
Yeah.
at playing the opening of The Night They Saved Christmas, that
Yep.
TV movie everyone remembers, starring Paul Williams and who's the lady?
Oh, Jacqueline Smith.
Jacqueline Smith. That starts just with 3 minutes of explosions,
Needed
needed
blasting.
blasting. And you put that on, and I was trying to go to sleep. And at first I was like annoyed, and then I was like, no, don't shut it off yet, because I want to hear the first piece of dialogue,
Oh,
which is the most boring
oh,
thing anybody's ever said. It's something about oil drilling.
I know. We got to
So
go to Site A.
yeah, they had to go
Yep.
to site A. So there was an attempt made. It didn't stick. But this one was,
Right.
it sounds like October Sky. You'd listen to the audio and drift off to dreamland.
Yeah. I love it.
Wow.
Yep.
Now I could not tell you when I actually watched this movie before,
Right. Yep.
but I did watch it last night. Jack was home from school sick, and so he was just kind of laying around on the couch, so he watched it with me.
Oh man, that's a great sick day movie.
It was.
I think this is a great sick day movie.
Yeah.
It's inspirational.
Yep.
It's relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some great highs and lows.
Yeah.
Some great father son.
There is a lot of father son stuff.
Yeah.
And so I remembered it very, very vaguely.
Okay.
I actually didn't remember, even though Laura Dern's on the cover, that Laura Dern is in it
Yeah. She's great in it.
as some sort of like very pretty teacher that sometimes I feel like Jake Gyllenhaal is a little close to her.
Right. Well, I mean, if Laura Dern was your teacher and you're in high school, like,
In a
wow.
coal mining town, this
I know,
Hollywood
like,
actress is your teacher.
she was just in Jurassic Park.
Dr. Ellie Sattler. You know what she's been through.
Uh-huh.
Um, okay, so can I just give you the list of things that were my guesses?
Sure.
And we can just run through this and then you can give me your actual evidences.
Okay, great. I love
Okay.
it.
Number one, it happens in the fall and there's lots of rain.
Oh. Okay, so that would fall under how it looks, and I love it.
Yes. Especially when anything bad is happening. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a little bit like, okay, Joe Johnston, but whenever anything bad is happening, it's raining.
Yep, like where's my rocket stuff?
Where's my rocket stuff? It's out.
Right
I
where it
put it I
right
put
where
it
it should be.
I put it
Or
in a
right where
box
it belongs.
out on the curb.
Oh man, the poor guy, he picks it up and the box falls apart, all his rocket stuff.
You can't put it in a cardboard box. It's gonna fall apart in the rain.
Oh man, well he
Bad
wasn't
news.
gonna put it in a cardboard box. That wasn't his fault.
I'm talking about Chris Cooper. That was a double whammy of his dad to be so mean. Not only
Yep.
did he put it out by the trash, he put it in a weak, wet cardboard box getting
Mm,
soaked with rain.
right. Doesn't he know it's always raining?
When bad things happen. And then I think it's either when the strike is happening. No. It's when Chris Cooper almost dies
Yep.
during the
Yep.
dance. It's raining then too.
Yep. It's raining so they can be parked in the car. Gets all
Foggy windows.
steamy.
Yep. Steamy
Yep.
windows.
That's the part in the movie where he leaves the dream because he learns about girls and he's like, maybe the dream's not so good after all. Maybe I'll just stay in the Coalwood in the mine.
Yeah, who needs girls? I'm gonna
No, no,
go
no.
in the
Who needs
mine.
the dream?
Oh, the dream. Well, I
That's
think
what I
he
mean.
also gave up the girl to go down in that mine. Who wants to
Yeah,
kiss somebody who's got coal all over his face
yeah.
in their car? This guy's got a lot of girls that like him too, for a
I know.
nerd.
Yep, totally.
I mean, it helps
Is
that he
that
looks like Jake Gyllenhaal.
right? Is that like wish fulfillment?
Yeah,
Like you're a nerdy high schooler, but the all these girls think you're really cool.
eventually they're like, wow, this guy shoots off rockets. Hubba hubba.
Wow. Wow. He's smart. I love that trigonometry. Hoo la la.
Write more on that chalkboard. Wow.
Prove the principle wrong. I love that.
That is a great scene
Like,
where he's proving the principle wrong, and people are like, yeah,
yeah, go.
go.
Yeah, go. Quentin's like, get him, y'all.
He's gonna do it. Get him. Okay, so that's the number one. It happens during the fall and lots of rain, especially when bad things are happening.
Yep.
Second thing, major Rudy vibes I put on here.
Oh, the Rudy vibes are strong in this.
So a kid is bad
Yes.
at sports and so has
Yep.
to do something else. So Rudy was bad at sports and then became like just kept going with it, right?
Yep.
This movie's like Rudy if Rudy was like, I'll launch rockets instead.
Yeah, like because I mean that's what they said. Remember on Rudy they were like, I wish they would put your heart in other people's bodies.
Right.
Like in some of my football players' body because he's got the heart,
Mm-hmm.
he's got but he just doesn't have the body or the talent for it. So had Rudy, maybe transitioned that over to something else,
Right.
like
The problem
becoming a
was Rudy
priest
never
or
got
something.
very good grades either. That was another issue
Yeah.
for Rudy. There's also, of course, we call it the lava store, where there's a factory that's dangerous. That's
Oh
very
yeah.
Rudy vibes.
That is total. You're right. Yep.
And so there's kind of like, I gotta get out of this town.
Yep. So there's Steel Town vibes
Yep.
or coal mining town vibes.
Right.
Where
Those
it's
could be,
like
those are interchangeable in a movie like this. You're mining something that's dangerous and you want to get out of there.
Yep. Well, so that is just a representation of or like a movie trope for I was made for more than this. you know?
I was made for more than this. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Total Recall. Total Recall. Also, he's also just jackhammering. When Schwarzenegger is
Yep.
jackhammering, and he is
Yeah.
the largest, strongest man in the world, and nobody mentions it.
I know that is so stupid. He's like got a cutoff shirt and just like rippled as heck.
Anybody that sees Schwarzenegger at that point will be like, "You're right. You are meant for more than this."
Yeah, like go be a bodybuilder
Look
or
at you.
I
So
know.
it makes more sense in a Rudy or in a October Sky, where
Mhm.
the kid isn't seen as this guy is meant for Moses.
Yep, yep.
He's just one of us. Like, keep your head down, keep your head out of the clouds, feet on the ground, and
Yep.
just mine coal for the rest of your life. That's what we do,
Yep.
or
That
or
like
make steel.
it's like what I think it's Roy Lee or maybe it was Odell. One of those the other two friends. There was Quentin
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think it was Roy Lee. So that's kind of like the comic relief guy.
Roy Lee is the no. Quentin is the nerd. Is that right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Roy Lee's the comic relief who has the
Mhm.
limp.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
And then Odell is the the I mean, I guess I don't really know how to typecast. Apparently, actually, from the book, which I didn't read, maybe someday
Uh-huh.
I'll read it. Uh, the multiple friends were kind of like put into
Sure.
these two friends. I think there
Mm-hmm.
were four or more from the book that were,
Yeah.
kind of married together to be one character.
Sure. For the storytelling sake, right? It
Yeah,
works with three other kids.
right.
Yep.
But in his comic relief, he's like, I always knew this is what I would always do.
Right.
Is be a miner.
Yep.
Like when he's like, they're shooting guns, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, quit sitting around like a bunch of hillbillies.
That's right.
We're meant for more than this. And they're like, newsflash, we are
We are
hillbillies,
hillbillies. I
right?
really
So
like that moment. Yeah.
yeah, it's so I actually at 44, I have some different feelings about this.
Okay.
Like, part of me, I'm like, just do that and do it well and live a quiet life.
Yep. Still, when there's that point where Jake Gyllenhaal has to leave school and he
Yep.
wakes up, that alarm rings, and
Yep.
he has to go down to the coal mine, my heart sank for him.
Yep.
Just, this is the rest of your life. You're 16 or whatever he is. You have to
Yep.
quit school and you have to go work in the mines where there's like an accident every other day. That I don't think they could even make a sign that says no accidents in how many days or whatever. They
Yeah.
wouldn't have,
Yeah.
it seemed like every other day somebody's dying down there.
Yep.
Dark, claustrophobic. It's my nightmare.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wasn't saying you should just be a coal miner, Steven, and just
No,
do that
I
and
know
do
that.
it
But
faithfully with your but like I was thinking about it from, post midlife crisis
sure.
feeling
Yeah.
a little
Yep.
bit, but you can't get there without leaving
Mm-hmm.
and doing something else and being like, "Oh, maybe I
Yep.
should just live a quiet life and stop
Yeah.
striving so much or whatever."
Yep.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
No,
reading
I
way too far into it, but I love his contentment of like I always knew that was what I was gonna do.
I
But
I I see what you mean, and I felt it a little bit on this viewing. Was like,
right.
I get how people might feel about a kid who's like, I hate this and I'm out of here. What that
Yeah.
makes the rest of the town or makes your parents feel like.
Yeah.
Um, so that was interesting for me to think about as I was thinking about this movie, and you in particular, was you
Mhm.
don't have a dad that was like, while you're at school, he's like, I'm gonna put all those Reed tools in a cardboard box and put them out in the rain.
Yeah.
Get
Where's
your
my
head out
read
of the
stuff?
clouds and be right, because you went into the family business, kind of, right? Your dad's a
Yeah,
musician,
totally.
so were you. I
Right.
did too. Went into the family
Yep.
business. Um,
Totally.
but there is kind of this other thing that I wrote down. This kind of like a a kid whose dad doesn't want him to do what he wants to do, and then the dad comes around. Like I feel like
Mm.
that fits in that Rudy vibes
Oh, totally.
category.
You could switch those dads out,
Yep.
you know. You're a Rudiger. There's nothing
Yep.
wrong with being a Rudiger, right? I mean, yeah, so like there's a real kind of like it's a little bit of a different than just like a straight linear trajectory of their relationship
Mm-hmm.
because he actually Homer, and actually the dad's name is Homer in real life,
Right.
I believe. So he's
Because he's
Homer.
Homer Jr., right? Yeah.
Yep, I think maybe
Well,
his middle name was John or something, and they thought it made more sense.
you could say these are the two Homers.
Ah,
Two Homers build a rocket.
Two Hickams, two homers.
Yep.
Uh, but he goes into the mine, Homer
Uh-huh.
Jr. When he dies to himself and does what he's supposed to do for his family.
Yep.
And then his dad sees him doing what he's always wanted him to be doing,
Yeah.
and he's super good at it, and he's
He is
super
good at
proud of
coal
him.
mining. Yep.
Yeah, he's like, and there was, I feel like there was an eye opening for Homer Jr., Jake Gyllenhaal, to
Mm-hmm.
be like, oh, my dad is really awesome,
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
right? Like he was in there, and right, Homer Sr. is like, I don't have that piece of paper, I don't have a degree, but the people in here respect me, and I run this place.
Right.
And he said, you know why? And Homer Jr. is like, because you know more than they do.
You bet your ass I do. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, I mean, he runs a town
Yeah, this
of
guy is
people, like,
the center of everybody's life.
yeah, like a whole mining town. I mean, it's
Yep.
not unlike Oppenheimer,
Mm-hmm.
the Saint or Los Alamos,
Uh-huh.
where the whole town exists for one purpose.
It wouldn't exist
So
without that one guy.
and wouldn't exist, right?
Right.
So Homer Senior is essentially Oppenheimer
Right.
without the womanizing. Uh,
No, he's pretty devoted to his palm tree painting wife.
right. Actually, I mean, there's a major vibe of workaholism
Yeah.
from the dad front in this movie, actually, where I would actually posit that the mine is his mistress.
Yeah, and there's
You know what I
like
mean?
it's very 50s in that way, I think,
Yes.
where it's
Yeah, like
what does she do all day? She just paints palm trees
she's like,
and
I want to
worries
get
about her
the
husband dying.
beep out of this place and go back to Myrtle Beach. So I'm just gonna paint it in the kitchen.
And I really like that kind of development of that painting throughout the
Yeah.
movie, where
Yeah.
it's good character development for her without much for her to do, actually.
Yeah. But what great subtle
Mm-hmm.
storytelling with that totem, that wall.
Yep.
I actually think that's really cool.
Pretty good. And later on the bullet goes through it. I like that.
Uh-huh.
Right. Like,
Yep.
and she's that's when she snaps. Like, even my nice drawing
Yeah.
has been destroyed by your friggin' coal mining.
Yeah. But so the story though between the father and son though, back to
Mhm.
that non-linear, like a little bit more not just basic,
Yeah.
is that they're right before the very end, there's actually almost a betrayal because his son actually Homer Jr. actually goes to the mine,
Yep.
crushes it,
Mm-hmm.
literally rocks.
Yep. He's crushing those rocks.
And he could run this town one day.
Yeah.
And then he kind of almost likes it, almost kind of gives into that.
Yeah. It's not as bad as he thought. Almost, he says, but not as bad.
Almost.
Mm-hmm.
But then some epiphany happens where he's like, oh wait, I'm a rocket boy.
Rocket
Like,
Boy.
I need, like, give me my rocket stuff.
Rocket Boy. Is Rocket Man the sequel to this movie?
Yeah.
Not the Elton John one. The
right.
Harlan Williams one.
Yeah.
It might be.
Definitely.
That's Homer Hickam. You never knew.
But so
go ahead.
basically he though has his epiphany, finds the rocket, doesn't go to work, and then his dad's like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, I'm sorry you missed work today. That's a bummer. Like that's not cool. But we'll get you straightened out. We'll get you back.
Uh-huh.
And that was the moment where he had to like stand on his 2 feet.
Yep.
And be really courageous to his dad that's finally proud of him.
Yep.
And be like, actually, no.
Yeah.
So that's a betrayal on his front. Also very brave.
Yeah. Great job, Jake.
Was a bit of a complicated story with that. So
it's
really
a little bit
that.
more nuanced than Rudy's dad, I would say. You don't really see as much of Rudy's dad because Rudy moves, right? So
right.
I think they do a good job at beefing up the character of Homer Sr. in this movie, and it feels a
A
little
little
bit more
more.
complicated and good.
Yeah, agreed. Yep.
Okay, just a couple more things. It's kind of depressing, this movie,
Mm.
and
Oh
I think
yeah.
sometimes you're into that. Like
Yeah, like
coal
that.
failing coal mining town, raining
Yeah.
all the time. It's kind of like everybody's a little bit sad throughout the entire movie.
I know their marriage kind of sucks, which I'm not a fan of course. Of but like,
His
they're kind
brother's
of
kind of a
sad.
bully.
Brothers mean, his friends are nerds,
One of
you
his
know.
friends is getting beaten up by his stepfather. Like
Yeah.
it's all kind of like kind of morose,
Yep.
and it's like, oh man, I, I was kind of sad, and I was like, wait a minute, I think that's why Anthony might like this.
Yeah. Okay, good job. You figured that out.
Yep. Okay.
Cuz he has an inner sadness to him.
He does.
And Jake
That
Gyllenhaal
character, yeah,
plays that
does seem
really well,
sad.
and he looks like that.
He's kind of a droopy-eyed guy.
Yeah.
He's kind of he shuffles around a bit. Yeah. And
Yeah,
you
he
know, it's
doesn't have a wide-eyed optimism to him. Although
no.
when he gets that award, he looks so happy.
I really, really love when he gets that award.
Yeah. Yep.
That was I was choking up during that part. I was proud of him. Good job,
Good.
you sad boy.
Good job.
You did it.
Yep.
A couple more. It's about space and has a shuttle launch at the end.
Done. Venn diagram. You're getting them. Yep.
When I saw that, not only rocket launching, but a really actually cool shuttle launch shot that I don't think I've seen before.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
was
you see the
great.
same old shuttle shots over and over again.
Yeah.
This one had a cool kind of tilted angle. The clouds or the smoke, I should say, or whatever it is that comes out the bottom, kind of blew
Yep.
out in a direction I wasn't familiar with. And then you get that
Yeah.
wide shot
Yeah.
of the shuttle with the people kind of watching and taking like videotaping.
Yeah.
Looked really good.
That looked so good. What a great cut.
Yep.
From the final rocket launch over to that, and then the
Mm-hmm.
classic title cards.
I
Here's what
forgot
happened to
about
the
the title
town.
cards. Of course, the title cards.
Yep. And that's Rudy too, right?
Definitely. I thought it was kind of funny that two of the four guys just became like used car salesmen or
Yeah.
realtors.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yep.
thought that was kind of, yeah, that's how it works out. All four of these guys, all four of the Rocket Boys went to college.
Yep.
Two of them became scientists.
It would have been fun if one, like, three of them went to college, one dropped out.
We don't know what happened to this fourth guy.
Yeah. Well,
That's what it says.
also, so that's weird though, because from what I understand, they were stories that were put together.
Right, yeah.
Um,
So then you mean why do they have details of the rest of their lives if they were
yeah. So
conglomerations of a couple people?
who are those all four? Because maybe if there were six, maybe four of them did, or two
Yeah.
of them that were made up did.
Maybe four of them got scholarships. I don't know.
Sure.
And went to
Yeah.
college and the others didn't. So
Yep.
yeah. Okay. So here's the last thing that I wrote. There's some sort of intangible thing here that Anthony loves that I'm not sure I'm getting, because so I'll just be honest, I got to the end of the movie and I was like, great, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
I
Oh
really liked it.
man.
This is good. I don't
Yep.
no, here's what I want to say. I could not find anything wrong with this movie.
Yeah.
Well, we did have one strick, and this is from Jack.
Okay.
He was like, you know that part where they have to get that one washer welded?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So Jack is, I don't know if you know this, a certified welder. He could go out and get a job as a welder right now. He's
Oh.
taken 3 years of welding in high school.
Whoa. Cool.
He's like a really good welder. So he was like, why those fins on the rocket have already been welded? Somebody welded those fins on there.
Yeah.
Why do they need somebody else to weld the washer and go behind the back? So that's like my only stricken.
That's good.
There's nothing like wrong at all with this movie.
Yep.
But when I think about it compared to Iron Giant, it doesn't compare for me.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Oh,
there's
definitely.
some sort of like real Like I really enjoyed it, but it would never have gotten on a perfect movie list for me.
Right.
I was like, yeah, this good. And so I think, but I really felt deeply. I know that this is an Anthony movie.
Yeah.
It's
Like if
not a
you watch
surprise to
that
me at all.
like in the theater, you'd be like, dude. It's like when Alex was like, dude, you got to go see The Martian.
Of course, if I had seen this in the theater and you hadn't seen it
Yeah.
yet, I would have called you in the middle and said, I don't know what you're doing the rest of the night, but you got to get to October Sky starring
Yeah,
Jake
dude.
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
And so I still do think maybe there's some intangibles here, maybe something I'm missing. Um, I'm sure I got several of the things that you love about it, but maybe it's just like this is just Anthony. It's just Anthony kind of movie. Is it a four thing? I don't know. Like,
Well, I mean, yeah. So, do you want? So, I think this is a good time for me to drop in a few pieces of evidence.
please, I would love that.
All right. Let
I've
me.
come to the end of my list, even though now whatever you say, I'm gonna be like, of course.
Yep. I think this is gonna help.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Okay. My first piece of evidence would be right in the first 5 minutes. They establish the dream.
Okay. Yes,
So,
this is what I meant by the Rudy thing,
yep.
but in particular, the dream you're saying is established right away.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
the Spielberg eyes when
Uh-huh.
Jake Gyllenhaal sees Sputnik.
Okay.
And the Spielberg eyes also happen in young Rudy when he's hearing or when he's watching Notre
They're
Dame
watching
sitting
the
next to
game.
his dad.
Yep, they're watching the game on that little TV. Great
Yep.
scene. And you really get a long shot of them seeing something
Yep.
and something shifting in their bodies, in their
Yeah.
eyes, in their you can see it shifting in their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a latent switch in your
Mm-hmm.
brain that gets that turns,
Yeah.
that clicks. And he's like, space. The final
The final
frontier.
frontier.
But he's
Well,
like, I want to go there, or I want
yeah.
to do something I want to reach for the stars,
Something I liked
essentially.
about it here is that seemed to be a new idea to him
Mm-hmm.
in that moment.
Yeah.
There was nothing leading up to that.
Yeah.
Um, he was, he was just kind of shuffling through life,
Mm-hmm.
probably assuming, like his friend, that he was going to be a coal miner someday.
Yep.
And then seeing Sputnik, or at least that little tiny version of it going through the sky.
Yeah.
Spielberg eyes, you're right. And
Yep.
something, the dream is established.
Yes. So perfect establishment of the dream,
Uh huh.
which made me think of three of my favorite types of movies,
Okay.
and they're all in this:
Mm-hmm.
Dreamer, Problem Solver, Band of Brothers.
Okay. Problem Solver is Martian.
Yep.
And by the way, why I think you would love Misery by Stephen King. Misery
Okay.
is like Castaway, The Martian in a room, in a tiny room.
Cool. Okay.
It's all problem solving. You will love it. Um,
Okay.
but that is definitely Martian, Castaway. What else is
Yep.
it? Problem solver.
Apollo 13,
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer,
Yep.
totally. Yep.
Yep.
Like a movie where you need to like there's montage after montage of like banging your head against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. Yeah.
I mean that's even at space camp a little bit,
It's I'm
right?
just laughing because it's the opposite of like Rocky montage where he's like getting really strong, but
Yeah.
there's always a montage in this where it's like they're failing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, so I am such a huge fan of when they're trying rocket after rocket after rocket and they're just perseverance,
Yep.
failing after failing after failing,
Hmm.
figuring out what was Edison said he figured out 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb,
Right. Yep.
and
You
and then
see
he
that
figured out,
happen with these kids, right?
yeah. And so like in that sequence, you know that they had to go 8 miles for every single one of those.
Yeah.
So it's like up partner to snake route, right? They
Yep.
followed their dad's
They followed the
directions
rules.
to the
Yep.
letter. We have
Hmm.
to go 8 miles. Sometimes we'll hitchhike, sometimes we'll hike, sometimes we'll and like they built that whole thing.
Yeah, that rocket
They
launching outhouse thing so they wouldn't get
yeah.
blown up while and I really like how that scene is filmed because most of the time you're just seeing them
Yeah, yeah.
failing over and over again,
Yep.
right? And you hear the explosion, but most of what you see visually is them being like, "Oh man, almost."
Yeah.
Like we almost
Yeah.
did it that time. Yep.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah, that's great.
Uh and I love how he in the kind of Spielberg eyes when he's talking about von Braun,
Yep.
the von
His
Braun
hero.
family. Uh Dr. Emmett Brown. He's from the von Braun family, right? And we were
Yes.
called the von Brauns. Um
Oh,
has all of his failed rocket attempts.
right. Yep.
And he writes him about it and he's like,
They
I'm
see
trying
he's
my own rockets.
that's a great visual on the it's a Rudy watching the small TV except for
Yes.
it's Von Braun trying to launch a rocket and it just falls apart
Yep.
mid
Just
launch. It's
totally.
cool. Yeah.
Um
Is
so
there
I
any
love the
there's another problem solving part though, isn't there in this movie? Oh, I know, because they didn't start the fire as Billy Joel would say, right? And so
mhm.
they also have to do that. I'm gonna figure this out while I'm coal mining. I was like, Anthony loves this. This guy is
Yeah.
in the bowels of this mountain coal mining,
Yes.
and he's got his little light on, and he's writing out equations,
Yeah.
trying to figure this out.
Yeah, dude. I love
Yes,
that.
yeah,
That
that's awesome.
I love that. And he's by his other coal mining buddies.
Hmm.
Um so I'm a huge fan of the problems. Oh, and also when he and Quentin, he finally figures out how far it's going to be away. It's like 1.2 miles away. And they
Right,
get that,
that string.
100 feet of rope
Yep,
or string,
rope. Yeah, yeah.
and they go together.
Uh-huh.
And so that would be in my one of my third favorite things, which is a band of brothers.
These
Or,
four kids.
yep. So, I mean, you could have Boy and His Dream, Problem Solving, and Band of Brothers. And it could also be Girl and Her Dream, right? It can be friends,
Band of
brothers,
sisters, band of siblings.
band of
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Goonies is, right? It's
Uh-huh.
a band
Yeah.
of brothers adventure, like shared experience of
Yeah.
how do
Finding
we
One-Eyed Willie's treasure.
yeah, that's problem solving, right?
Yep. Like getting past those booty traps.
so so he and his friend have to
Yep.
figure this out and they figure it out together.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I love how he has to sacrifice to be that kid's friend, which
Yeah.
he is all of his social capital.
Yeah. So
Like
there's
he
dream
puts
fulfillment for me. The nerd
yeah.
sitting by himself, and then somebody who looks like Jake Gyllenhaal and his friends coming up to me and saying, "Do you know anything about rockets?"
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, perfect class or lunchroom scene.
Yep.
Like, I mean, probably it could be stricken that it wouldn't quite happen that obviously,
No, but it had to be
but
told that way, I think, for you to
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
get the the impact of what was happening there.
Yep.
Um, and it really, really gets you on Jake Gyllenhaal's side. Nothing gets
Yes.
me on a character side
Uh
like that person going to a nerd
love it.
or an outcast and welcoming them into their tight group of friends.
Mm,
It's
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 that's what
it's really cool. And then he goes and visits that nerd later and finds out he's not only a nerd, he's a poor nerd, right? Who sleeps
right.
with three or four of his sisters in a bedroom.
Yep.
And he says, "I won't tell anybody.
Yep.
This is between us. Just I
Yep.
don't want you to be more embarrassed or outcast at school than you already are."
That was so good.
Yeah.
I love that. So
Yep.
the working together thing, I love.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the dream, I love how he establishes the dream at the breakfast table with his family.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna build a rocket. And they're
Just
like,
says it. He blurts it out. Yeah.
yeah, he's like, uh the older brother laughs, the dad's like, what?
Yeah.
And then the mom via Christmas Story. I heard somebody else say this, but it's essentially don't blow your eye out. Don't shoot your
Right.
eye out.
Yeah.
Like don't blow yourselves up. Um,
Yeah.
so I had that exact scene in my life,
Mm,
and I've shared it on the podcast before. I'm mowing
yes.
the lawn. I go
Hmm.
inside and I tell
I
my
thought of
dad,
this. Yep.
I'm gonna be a professional bassoonist and I'm gonna win the Madison Symphony Concerto
Oh,
competition. And
okay.
he goes,
Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about the Sputnik scene because that's the lawn mowing moment for you, right? You were
that's the
mowing the
lawn mowing
lawn.
moment. And then I went and told somebody about it. And
I
that's
see.
the
Yep.
breakfast scene
Okay.
where he's
I love that.
eating. Okay, this is for Alex. The dad in this movie eats big biscuit shredded wheat. Oh,
We had just one per bowl.
yeah. Perfect food. Every time I eat it, I think about Homer Sr.
Mm-hmm.
And just by the way, Chris Cooper,
Mm,
I think he's amazing.
yeah,
And
he's great.
he 100% could be one of my uncles or my grandpa Churchill. So we've
The way
talked
he
about my
looks, you
grandma
mean?
Churchill forever. Like the thin lips, he looks like I don't know what his 23 and me would say, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm related to him on the Churchill side. Like,
Wow. So this is like uh Jory LaForge for
yeah.
your dad.
So
You
so
can see some of your family in Chris
if
Cooper.
you could cast my family, it would be Chris Cooper as my dad or as my grandfather, my maternal grandfather,
Uh-huh.
and my two uncles on my
Yep.
mom's side, and
Mm-hmm.
then Geordie LaForge, LeVar Burton is somehow my dad.
It really is though, listener. I mean, when I was watching The Next
Right?
Generation, it was like your dad was on screen
Did
whenever
I
LeVar
share
Burton
that?
is there. Yeah.
Did I share that somebody in the drum corps made a tape of Geordie LaForge and my dad talking back to back?
No,
This,
I
I
didn't
mean,
hear that.
this is in the 90s, and I'm like begging my dad to somehow find that. But somebody told him you talk just like LeVar Burton. Your eyes, your mouth, everything.
I didn't hear about the back to back thing recording.
They
Maybe I
were.
didn't. I missed it, but yeah.
Oh, it's okay. So
So
there's
that's
that.
interesting about Chris Cooper that you see your family in him, or
I
your uncles in particular.
really resonate with like Chris Cooper feels like an uncle or a grandfather to me.
Huh.
Like in Seabiscuit,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I love him in that. I love
Yeah.
him in lots of things.
I mean, he's a great bad guy in the Jason Segel Muppet movie. He's the bad guy in that. He raps in
Oh,
it. It's
okay,
insane.
okay,
And just a spoiler, he's in next month's movie too, and he's incredible, in my opinion. He's in Little Women,
yes. Oh,
2019
good.
Little
Okay,
Women.
so we're gonna
And
get some
so is
more.
Laura Dern. It it's
Yes.
really kind of an interesting crossover between these two movies. Those actors are in it.
Hmm.
And they're both so good.
Hmm.
I love Chris Cooper. He's great. And he's
Yeah.
great in this movie. He's a great dad. He's the great
Totally.
this kind of dad, I should say.
Yeah. So he reminds me of my grandfather, like I said, and he
Mm-hmm.
like my grandpa was like this also. Like he was gruff,
Okay.
not very warm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, could be kind of angry and sort of mean. Gosh, I don't want to talk
No,
badly about
that's okay.
I mean, it's just like
Gruff
that.
gruff is a great adjective for Chris Cooper in this movie for sure.
Yep.
And if you're seeing that gruffness and remembering that gruffness in your grandpa, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep. If you're like, quit your balling or I'll give you something to ball about.
Right, that kind of thing.
Uh,
Yes.
so it really just deeply reminds me of him and my uncles. My
Mm-hmm.
uncle John in particular, who passed away like 2 years ago during COVID,
Mm.
um, who was a really warm soul and always really kind to me. He also
Mm.
very much reminds me of Chris Cooper. So I don't know. I just it shot something off in me, and every time I see him.
Wow.
Um, okay, a couple other things
Mm-hmm.
that meant a lot to me
Yeah.
were okay, four people that are important when you're trying to develop your dream.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the hero,
Yeah.
So that was Von Braun. I've got my hero,
Yep.
Bernard Garfield.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, you've got the welder.
Yeah,
Uh,
like a another adult
hmm
that will help you out.
I mean, I have this friend. So my
Oh,
friend Ken,
uh-huh.
who is one of the greatest bassoon restorers and repairers alive,
Okay.
and we've spent so many nights together
Uh-huh.
doing
Wow.
projects like this, where
Oh, that's cool.
we're trying to make something together.
Yep.
Uh, and so like I was like, that's Ken,
Huh.
and that's played
You
by two
immediately
people.
recognize that person.
Oh, I mean, I would love for someday you to see his shop because he has every machine. It's a machine shop.
Yeah.
So you can build like if if any key on my instrument were to
Uh-huh.
break, he could build a new one from scratch, like from scrap metal.
Wow. That sounds
So
awesome. Wouldn't you just love to have just that equipment and that skill at your disposal?
what if Jack could come and like apprentice with him?
Just weld. Hey, I'm here to be your welder apprentice.
Well, but if he can weld, he could machine. If you develop machining,
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, you can do anything.
Oh yeah. It's a highly sought after skill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then he had a mentor, Laura Dern.
Right. The teacher.
Yep, the teacher, the encourager,
Yeah.
the one that saw the dream and believed in him.
Yep.
And then the friends slash collaborators,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just all these. It's
Peers.
just it's
It's almost like
peers.
you need to have peers in your life. Yep.
Yep.
To encourage you. Yeah, that rules.
So
And
I
so
just think
you're
they're.
connecting with those things. This is actually really helping me because I think that there's one thing I forgot to write down was that I remembered or I thought of you during the looking up at the Sputnik scene, and I
Mm,
thought of your lawnmower moment,
yeah, totally.
which I think I've told you this before. I didn't have that in my life. It was
hmm
kind of like more throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what stuck.
Yep.
So many major changes in college kind of stumbled into a little bit what I'm doing now. Now I've done it
hmm
for the past 23 years, and so I've stuck with it. But I don't
hmm
think there was any Sputnik lawnmower watching Notre Dame on TV moment for me that I can point to. And you have that and you tell that story all the time. And so to see
Right.
that on screen must be pretty cool.
Yeah. It just it shot off all the neurons in my
Mm-hmm.
brain of like just like Starman is your story.
I
Moving from
start from some
Wisconsin.
gross fetus and grow really quickly on the ground. And then I go to Arizona from Wisconsin.
So just like Starman is your story, October
Yeah.
Sky feels like my story just a little bit. Like I can just really resonate with a
Yeah.
kid that has a dream and
Yep.
goes for it and fights adversity over and over and over again.
Yep.
Now I understand that the dad in the book is actually
Mm-hmm.
not the antagonist that he is in the movie.
Okay.
But just such good movie making, right?
They had to make that choice too, I think. I mean, it just that makes the adversity of what he does land. And then his dad comes around at the end and they're arm in arm
Oh,
launching it together.
oh, okay. So let me talk about that.
Okay.
So, uh, I love how it looks. I love
Mm,
the the color palette, the mountains of West Virginia. This was actually filmed in Tennessee, Kentucky,
mm.
Alabama, which I was just in last week. These are beautiful.
Okay.
Blue
Yeah.
Ridge, Georgia, like that. It looks like all of that, and
Yep.
I didn't know that I would one day resonate with that.
Huh. Interesting.
So
Yeah.
that really stuck out.
Yep.
Uh, then this dad thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I cried 2 times today, or not this week when I watched this multiple times.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's when so I'll just go back to being a four for a second. This again is my story.
As if
So
you ever are not a four.
I know, but it's like sometimes it just comes out so strong.
Sometimes you are a four.
I know. And it was this. And so I want to share this. For a long time, for years and years, I'd go back to my dad and I'd tell him, I would always be talking about my mentors,
Uh-huh.
always be talking about my mentors.
Yeah.
And I might have shared this on the podcast before, but I realized one time when I went back to probably Florida, maybe Atlanta at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, man, every time I'm with my dad, I'm talking about my mentors,
Mm.
and
Right. You have
and
said
he
this to me.
knows
I don't
these
know if you've said
guys.
it on the podcast, but yeah.
Okay, he knows these guys have shaped me, right?
Right. Right.
And then there was one night where I was like, you know what? I feel like I've talked about them way more to him than I've shared with him
Mm-hmm.
how much he's been
Mm-hmm.
my main mentor, he and my mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just got a check in my heart of like from like the Holy Spirit. I was like,
Yeah.
you just need to tell your dad
Huh. Right.
that. And so that line happens in this movie almost
Mm-hmm.
verbatim. So um uh Chris Cooper's like, go back to worshiping your heroes, Warner von Braun, right? And he said, oh my gosh, it's so good. He's like, Dr. von Braun is a great scientist,
Yeah.
but he's not my hero. You are.
Well, actually, what I noticed was he doesn't say you are,
Yeah.
which is better writing, I think.
Uh-huh.
He says, but he's not my hero. And he lets it
Mm.
drop right there, looking at his
Mm.
dad, and lets his dad
Whew.
finish that sentence in his mind and deal with that. And then guess what? It gets him there at 5 o'clock to see that rocket launch.
It does.
That's pretty
But
good.
bro, how good is that line? I mean, how good is that though?
Yes, great line.
He's like, I think that's so good. And I told my dad that,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it meant a lot to him
Oh,
because
I'm sure.
I was like, Dad, you're the OG mentor. You're my hero.
Yeah, I mean, if my boy said that to me, I would die. I think it was. I think I would. We were talking on the hike about like I call my parents every week, right?
Yes.
And I was
Hmm.
saying because I know when I'm my parents' age, if my son said, "Hey, what would it be like if I called you every week and we talked for an hour?" I mean, it's Elijah stuff, right? I would be transported up to heaven on a chariot. You know what I mean? It was, and I'm like, if that's what it would mean to me, then I want to call my parents every week. It's the same thing with
Yeah.
you need to tell your parents things about that as an adult child. And so it's a
Yeah.
really cool thing that I really like the nuance of that scene because he was saying, yeah, he's a great scientist and he's influenced me,
Yep.
but he hasn't really made me who I am.
Yeah.
It's not who I want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the really good writing and the unsaid assumption there is it's that's you, Dad. It's not Von Braun. It's not the Von Braun family.
Yeah. He's like, I want to do what he did, but I want to be who you are.
There it is. You got it. That's exactly what he's saying there, and it's pretty affecting scene there.
Yeah.
Um, so that was I I I got close there. I think the two cry moments for me were the I'm just a sucker for those cards with the words at the end, and so the one
Yeah.
about that his dad didn't live very long after that because of the black
Mm.
lung.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
which doesn't Zoolander get after working
Yeah.
2 hours in
Yeah.
the mine?
Right. I got the
I
black
got
lung
the
pop.
black lung pops. We kept Jack and I kept talking about Zoolander throughout the
Totally.
movie.
Totally.
Um,
100%.
and like the teacher died pretty soon after that.
Yeah.
Those got me. And then it's I mean, if this is your movie, we've talked about this before. Karate Kid is my story,
Mm.
not Starman. Karate Kid is my
Yep.
story.
Yep.
And so
Totally.
I love it
Yep.
when they win. And I don't know what to do with that in my
Yep.
soul. Like, but
Right.
when he kicks the crap out of Johnny in
Yep.
Karate Kid, and Elizabeth Shue runs up in those socks and the short
Yeah.
skirt and hugs him, and his mom is there. And they just the closing shot is Mr. Miyagi looking proud of,
Right, right.
of Daniel's son. That's like, ooh, I can't wait to watch it again.
It's
Um,
everything.
when he wins the award and he
Yeah.
goes up and people are slapping him on the back and
Yeah.
offering him
Oh.
scholarships.
Yep. Yep.
That's dream fulfillment.
Mm.
Tears are flowing.
Yeah.
And so it's not as probably like it's not even built to be the emotional punch that the father son thing is later, but for some
Yeah.
reason, bro, if they win at the end,
Yeah.
now we're gonna do Rocky this year.
Right.
I think it's just as good. Spoiler alert that Rocky
Yep.
loses, but
Yep.
something about winning.
I mean,
He's being
it's
rewarded
Hollywood.
for his hard work, and it really gets me the basic bro part of me.
Yeah. I mean, I love that scene. He meets Warner Von Braun. He finally meets his hero,
Yeah.
his inspiration. And he doesn't even know it, right?
Yep.
Like, what did the guy say to you? He's like, who? He's like, Dr. Von Braun, right?
Yeah, that's really fun.
Uh, I mean, I love that. Yeah,
Yep.
that whole scene, and then the victory lap of going home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody's there. He gives a great speech thanking everybody. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Great
his
speech. This is like
dad.
when you were telling a story once about one of your bassoon students thanking people publicly, and you were one of them, and how much that means to you.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so I mean, there are other elements in this that are for another podcast, but I can also resonate now, even at my age, with
Mm-hmm.
Chris Cooper
Yep.
of kids that are probably going to be more successful and leave,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or students and mentees that are maybe going to do better than you did. And
Yeah.
actually, and if you're like do a deep soul dive, you're threatened by that on some level.
So it was also interesting that Laura Dern gives this speech
Oh, dude,
about
yes.
I
Woo, yes.
wanted to like justify my existence as a
Yes.
teacher because you
Mhm.
guys succeed. And so there's also another podcast that we could talk about
Yes.
that, which is
Yep.
like you have to actually just do your best. And if the people that you're teaching succeed or fail, that's not on you. But it
Yeah.
was really an interesting kind of moment they have there where she's realizing I screwed up because I was putting so much pressure and expectation on you
Mm.
to make my life worth living. It's pretty good.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
I have to admit, I don't remember that scene at all. I don't
Oh,
remember that
yeah.
from before. I
As
don't
I'm
know if
talking about it, or
no, yeah, yes, on this week's viewings,
yeah,
I was like, I don't remember this scene.
huh?
And this is really effective. Like
Yeah.
I was
Yep.
teaching you for me,
Mm-hmm.
not teaching you for you.
Pretty complex
So
idea in a movie
yeah,
like
like
this, I think.
as a
Yeah.
teacher, how can you be useful and you're pouring your life into them,
Mm-hmm.
but you're that's your job, that's what you're doing, but their success, their whatever is I mean it is some fruit of your teaching,
Yeah.
but you're not a success or a failure based on that,
Right.
right? That was good.
Yeah. So that got me thinking. And that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're running short on time. So we'll just end it there. We have a result show to talk more if other things come up. But listener, we're wondering, I'm very curious if you've seen October Sky, and I'm assuming you have, except for a couple listeners did say to us during the broadcast news episodes, it doesn't matter if we've seen it or not. We'll listen to you guys talk anyway. That was
Yeah,
nice.
that was nice. They'll probably vote no though.
Right, exactly.
Vote
But
yes on this.
maybe we're so persuasive they don't even need to see
Yeah,
the movie.
right.
We want to know, is October Sky, in your opinion, a perfect movie? The best way is to go follow us on Instagram, because Annie, our social media guru, posts a poll pretty soon after the release of this episode, and you get to vote yes or no. So make sure you do that. That's instagram.com/2gomers. Thank you to our webmaster Adam, Jason for our graphics, Davis for our music, the aforementioned Annie for our social media. Next month, November, a great November movie, all about
Mm,
family. There's some men in it. Chris Cooper, for example.
yep.
Chalamet.
Yep.
Mostly, it's about those little women.
Yep.
Um, I remember watching it and saying, 2 out of 10 women not little enough. That was a little joke I had about saying little
Yeah,
women.
that's
That's
a
my
good
only
joke.
beef against it. This is a Steven's choice. I've been wanting you to watch this movie for a long time now, especially now that Barbie has become what Barbie has become. You got to
Yeah.
see another Greta Gerwig, and this
Yeah.
is a great one. So, Little Women, that's the 2019 version of Little Women. We're
Yep.
talking about that next month in November.
Can't wait.
Gonna be a good one. Laura Dern back again. I think that'll be
Sweet.
our third Laura Dern then.
Wow.
She's good.
She's really good. Probably big time childhood crush, right?
Yeah, even though I had a crush on, I can't, I'm not gonna, Adriana Richards,
Right.
who is the girl in
Yep.
Jurassic Park. When I say to Jessica, who did I have a crush on when I was little?
Yep.
That's her.
Yeah. I know. We had a million. But I mean Laura Dern Jurassic Park.
That part
Yep.
when she climbs up the hill.
We're so stupid.
No, I remember seeing that in. They just re-released it again last weekend, Jurassic Park in 3D. But I remember seeing it in 3D. Like,
Oh.
now that is some mom jeans right in your face. I don't think she has jeans on in that scene though. She's got the mom
Right.
khaki
Khaki
shorts.
shorts. Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of socks, she has those kind of like tube socks on too. I don't know
Oh
what that
yeah.
is.
I used to wear those with Birkenstocks too.
She wears them with like hiking boots, but Anthony used to wear
Right.
them with Birkenstocks.
Not a good look. I don't know why.
All right, dude. Well, thanks for
Although,
bringing. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, yeah. Although people are doing that now.
Oh yeah,
People the socks and Birks, I mean,
it's all
it
back,
is
baby.
everywhere. And
It's all back.
the what are those called? The sliders and the clogs and the
Yep.
slip-ons. It's all there, baby.
Not to
Bring
mention
it
mom
on.
jeans. They're not called mom jeans anymore, but they're just
True.
jeans.
Right, exactly.
That's just what jeans are right
Yep.
now. All right, dude. Thanks for bringing this movie to me so I could watch it again. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm wondering what people are gonna vote.
Good, dude. Thanks so much for watching. And don't forget, everybody, if we can watch fun movies and talk about them and find deep subjects in them, you can too.
And happy watching Little Women.
Nice. All right, let's stop that. 1, 2, 3, stop. Cool.
All right.
Fun.
Saved. I'm gonna bounce it. Do you want me to edit this?
I'll do this one. Too
Okay.
excited.
Okay. I was just thinking there's probably not going to be a lot of inserts.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'll do it.
Okay.
I appreciate it though.
I'm bouncing it now.
I'm bouncing also. Thanks for watching that, dude. Did
Yeah.
you like it better after talking about it?
Yeah, I did. And I liked it a lot.
It's good. It's
It's
just
good.
good.
Yeah, it really is good.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I've been waiting to watch it for the past 6 months until this week
That's good.
because like I wanted it to be fresh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and yeah.
Well, I'm curious when you watch Little Women, I think it's going to be a very similar thing where you're going to be like, I get it. I get why
Oh yeah.
Steven loves this movie because
Okay,
of
yeah.
some similar things from October Sky, actually. It's a
Okay.
very Steven movie in some of the
Yep.
things that I just really like.
Okay.
So,
Well, and there was I remember Aaron and Alyssa, my Aaron and Alyssa did like
right.
a ladies' night
Mm-hmm.
and went to it and loved it.
Yeah.
So I can't and the Greta Gerwig connection now.
Yep. It's
So
just
yeah,
way
I'm
better than
season
it should
tickets.
be. Is what I came out and I was like, that was way better than it should have been.
Huh. Okay.
She just is same as I thought with Barbie. Like,
Yep.
why was that so good? It just
Barbie
takes the
could
right
have been.
director.
We can re-say this again, but Barbie could have been just the Mario movie.
Right. Yeah.
Like good, fun,
Mm-hmm.
not
Yep.
super memorable.
Yeah. I think it'll be really fun to talk about this in the shadow of Barbie for sure.
Done, dude.
All right, I'm gonna head out.
Okay,
Oh,
thanks, man. That was super
that was a
fun.
nice little bonus for people. We just kept recording.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All right, here I'll say bye to everybody first.